Hey, welcome to episode number 33 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. Today, guys, just wait until you hear today's story. Joining us today, Kura and Levi Love, and guess what they're going to share? They're going to share how they paid off $427,127.29 in just a little over 3 years. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, everybody. You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad, and I would love to connect with you on one of those social platforms. So, as I said, I'm really excited to welcome some great people on today's show. And what I love about today's story is I think it really shows the power in changing your financial mindset. Like, if you can change that mindset of yours that's kind of keeping you stuck, and you really get serious about reaching your goals, you can have some pretty amazing success, because what Kura and Levi have done in just a little over 3 years is nothing short of amazing. And it's proof that if you want it bad enough, if you want those goals bad enough, if you want to create the life that you want to live, if you want to end financial stress, if you want to be done with debt and payments, you can make it happen. Anything is possible. Now, Levi and Kura have been married for 4 years. They have a daughter, Ava, who is 14. They have 2 cats and a sheep-a-doodle they adopted from rescue. Levi is a supervisor making artisan plant-based foods, which is a great for them and their family because they eat a plant-based diet. And Kura owns her own business as a full-time direct sales consultant with Pure Romance. Along with that, she works at a local brewery as well. They say they have some really big money-saving goals now that they've paid off this debt. They're going to share how they did that here in just a minute. And they are saving to build their forever home in just a couple of years or less. So, Kura and Levi, welcome to today's show. I'm so thrilled to have you joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, before we even talk about what you guys have been able to do over the last little over 3 years, and your journey, can you guys take us back to maybe when, your kids growing up as teenagers, maybe in your own households, just how the two of you kind of grew up with money and how you were taught about some of, the stuff that we talk about now in Roots and personal finance and budgeting, and did that play a part into how you guys manage your finances early on in life as you became adults?
So my parents, they always stressed how credit score was very important, and to pay all your bills on time, and I should get a credit card right off the bat, but don't keep a revolving balance just to pay it off every month just to build your credit. And they taught me how to balance my checkbook so I never went over. So I thought I was pretty good with money growing up. So I had really good credit. I've always had good credit. I never had bad credit. And yeah, I hardly ever, maybe once or twice got an overdraft fee, but that was very, very rare. So I always thought I was doing pretty good with money.
Yeah, me as a kid, we didn't have much money, so it was always just pay in cash, So I didn't get any of the credit. I didn't even know what any of that was. Kind of flip side of the coin.
Okay. So when you guys became adults, how did that play a role into how you started managing your money? Debt, savings, did you notice any bad habits that started creeping up, and what were some things that maybe you struggled with, or some things that you did really well with, you think?
So I was always taught that having credit was not a bad thing as long as you made all your payments on time. So most of the debt when we came into the relationship was mine. I had a lot of student loan debt. I financed pretty much everything. And I thought credit cards were, fine as long as they were no interest credit cards. So as long as I wasn't paying interest, then it was fine. Levi, I think, had one loan when we first got together, and he was paying the minimum, and his was accruing interest. So I was like, okay, we got to get yours paid off because yours is accruing interest and mine is not.
She was always like, you have enough money in your checking to pay it off. Just pay it off. Why don't you? I was like, I don't know.
So I had financed, when we bought our house, we financed our furniture because it was 0% interest for like 4 years. We financed my wedding ring because it was 0% interest. I had student loans. I had a couple of credit cards that were also 0% interest. So I was thinking, as we have all these, it's only $35 a month or it's only $25 a month and I can get it paid off by the time, the interest hits, which I always did. But it was just all those really small payments.
Yeah. It's death by 1,000 cuts, right?
Yeah.
And that you say it, and we've had other people come on and say it too. It's that it's only, man, does that end up costing you so much money throughout your life just saying it's only $5 or it's only $35, right? So ultimately, now you had heard about Roots, and maybe you can share a little bit about how you found out about Roots, but I guess what were the major, and I know it's been a little over 3 years, but what were the things that caused you to say, you know what, maybe we need to give this a try. Maybe we need to do something different. Was there something specifically you guys were stressing about or struggling with that kind of caused you to say, you know what, maybe we need to do something different?
I heard about your free workshop in an email from Pure Romance Corporate. So I enrolled in that and I listened to that. And then him and I actually went to our first World Conference in 2017. I think it was April 2017. And you had a class that you were teaching there. And I sat through it and I had already had all of my notes written out and all of our debt written down from the workshop that we did with me. And afterwards, we went back to the room and everything. And I sat down with Levi. I was like, I think we should do this. The only thing is, back then it was almost $300, I think, up front. And he at first was like, we have to pay like $300 to get out of debt. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, we'll just throw it on a credit card.
I didn't hear that.
Kind of thrown off initially because I was like, yeah, we got to pay money. But then I'm like, wait, she's down with it? It was kind of... So I didn't think she would be as receptive as she was.
And Levi, he rarely tells me no. So,
yeah.
So we decided to enroll. And I think it was the behavior module is when I was like, ooh, because I used to love to go to, I don't know if do you guys have Ross out there? I don't really go shopping out there.
What is it? Is it Ross for Less?
Dress for Less.
Oh, Dress for Less. Yeah, we have one. They actually it's funny you bring that up. Just in the last year, they finally came here.
Okay, so I love Ross, and it's a fairly cheap store. So when you go there, I would use it as retail therapy. Like anytime I was sad or I'd go to Ross, and it's only $5.
It's only she saves so much money.
Yeah.
And some of the times, I would buy stuff. And it would sit in the bags for months and I wouldn't even open it and I'd forget about it. And I would do that a lot. It would just make me feel better to go buy it. And I didn't even use it for months. So the behavior module was really what kind of opened my eyes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all of those only $5 to $7 has probably cost me $10,000 over the last few years.
Right. And just to go back to what you guys' original objection was, we get that a lot. It seems really counterproductive to say that I need to spend money to learn how to save and get out of debt. And
but all about it. I was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
I think we do this.
Yeah. And it's tough for a lot of people to kind of think that way, right? But at the same time, it's about re-educating yourself on how money really works and learning new financial habits. And when you guys hear what these guys have been able to do over the last 3 years, this is like a huge return on their investment. Let's just put it that way. It's amazing.
I think initially she'd still go to Ross, but then she'd come home and just go, I didn't need it.
I didn't buy anything.
So it took a while to get in the habit of not stuff.
Right. So you guys say, the behavior, when you join Roots, obviously we kick it off with our behavior module because that plays a huge role in your progress, your success with money. We teach people how to change, impulsive shopping habits and how to flip your mindset. And so outside of that, obviously, Kura, you had some things. Levi, what about you? Did you notice anything behavior-wise just with your spending, things that you were doing, or maybe even just how the two of you were communicating about money or anything else kind of early on? And I know, again, it's been a little over 3 years since you've joined, but going back to those first few months, like what were some really big aha moments that you felt really, because you guys had some big numbers right out of the gate in the first year. I mean, you did really well. I think in the first year, you guys had paid off over 30 grand just in the first year. So what were some of the big things that helped you get those results? Because we got people listening to this right now. They're like, how do I even start thinking about paying off debt like that? Like, what were some big things that really helped you think?
For me, putting it all on paper, realizing, I'm spending, just stopping at the grocery store every day. Oh, I'll buy some of this, $30 a day. It was like, wow. Now we're to around $300 a month, which is
for a family of 3.
Yeah.
A big one was him making his lunches at home cheaper. He ate rice and beans for a long time. He's actually still doing it. So we don't eat meat. So that's a big portion of our bill, like that we don't have to spend like other people usually do.
Right.
But rice and beans, and I mean, we dress it up a little bit, so it's not like the same every single time, like boring or bland, but we eat very cheap meals. When we had our house, we gardened. So we replaced all of our outdoor landscaping with edible plants and trees. So we grew peaches and apples and plums and all of our produce. So we weren't spending that money at the store. We just grew it all.
Yeah, I was eating rice and beans last week, and I was like, I'm out of debt now. Still just in the habit of doing it.
Yeah, it's the habits that got you there, right?
Yeah. But out to eat also.
Yeah.
So we go out to eat. We used to get takeout all the time, and I have always worked, 3 to 4 jobs. So I would, make cash, and I would stop on the way home, and I was like, I made $300 today. I can spend $10 on some food.
Yeah.
So,
and I remember you guys sharing some of those wins. I think it was even a couple like trips and things that you guys had taken, and you guys had come up with ways to save like a lot of money on the trip with eating and even I think staying places too. You guys had reported, if I'm not mistaken. Can you share a little bit about that? Maybe just some tricks and things that you guys used when you did go on stuff like that.
Yeah. So we went to Florida. We went on a cruise. And we decided to stay a couple of extra days. And instead of getting a hotel room, we decided that we were going to rent a minivan. I think it was like $19 a day. And we slept in the minivan at a rest stop. We stopped at Walmart. We got a couple of really cheap, I think they were like $3 blankets and $1 pillows. And we just made a bed in the minivan, slept at the rest stop. And we ate canned soup for breakfast. We didn't have any way to heat it. We just popped open the can and ate right out of the can. And that's how we vacationed. Like we got to
PJs.
Yeah, we just bought a bunch of stuff we could throw in a disposable cooler.
Now people who are listening to this might be like, why in the world would you call that a vacation? But you guys had some goals that you wanted to reach. Like everything started to change. You were willing to make cuts, do different things because you wanted something different.
It was an adventure for sure. Like we will never forget that trip. We showered at a truck stop. We didn't have a hotel room. So it'll always be a memorable trip, and we had a great time. Like I said, we did go on a cruise prior. So we had, the room and, at the cruise, we went on a vegan cruise, which was amazing for us. We thought it was great. And we just hung out on the beach. We were like beach bums for a couple of days, and it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Levi, I know you were putting in a lot of extra hours too, doing. I think it was Doordash, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And are you still doing Doordash?
They got me working like 7 days a week lately. Still theoretically.
Okay.
Which was cool. When I got signed up for this, I kind of started stepping up, taking like all the extra shifts, just got the mindset that I'll do. And as a result, I got a bunch of promotions. So
yeah. Isn't that awesome? You get super crazy about your finances. We hear that all the time where people will get extra bonuses. They'll get pay raises at work, and it's all of a sudden because your focus just changes. And when you handle your money right, it's just amazing how you get more of it to handle right.
Yeah.
But I know one thing, like you did report quite a bit, like, and this is just for people out there wanting to make extra money, obviously, depending on where you live. And obviously right now we're in the midst of the pandemic and what's going on with that. But, you know, as time moves on, I know, Levi, you were making a considerable amount of extra cash just doing some of this type of gig work that was out there.
So just to put that in perspective with how crazy it was, I did it for 2 years. And when the stuff started getting crazy, Kara started picking up and doing it. She did as many deliveries in 2 months as I did in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, during the pandemic, like all of my jobs pretty much shut down. I mean,
Right.
I had to cancel 68 parties in those 4 months.
Yeah.
Some of them didn't want to do, you know, Zoom parties. Some of them did, and those were great. And I got more outside orders than I ever had. But my other 2 jobs, they completely shut down. So I was like, well, I guess I'll do DoorDash. And
Yeah.
DoorDash really picked up.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about that. You know, obviously you guys have done a tremendous amount of work, and then this happens. Like March, stuff starts shutting down. It's affecting your jobs. It's affecting income. What? How do you think it would have been 3 years ago if that would have happened?
Oh, it would have been awful. We
Yeah.
didn't have anything saved up. We had, you know, zero money in our savings. We were paycheck to paycheck. So it would have been way worse if it happened 3 years ago.
Right. So 3 years of work, and you get yourself set up, and nobody would have guessed this happens. Obviously, it's terrible that it is happening, but you know, from a personal accountability standpoint, we all have the opportunity to improve our finances by just making some different choices. You guys did that, and you guys definitely set yourselves up for success during this terrible situation to lessen the blow, essentially. So, all right, guys, share this huge number with everybody. How much have you guys been able to save and pay off in just the last 3+ years of joining Roots and really getting crazy serious about getting out of debt?
So we have paid off $427,127.29 in a little over 3 years. We
So
also
crazy.
so we also have about 85,000 in the bank right now.
Wow. So what I it's not even my money, and I look at it, I'm just like, I can't even wrap my head around all of that. It's like, that is so there's just so much work in the last 3 years to be able to accomplish all of that stuff. What do you guys think when you see it? Like, has it sunk in yet?
It has over the last couple, when we got that, so we did sell our house. We built a house almost 5 years ago. So we were almost in the house 5 years. Levi had an idea to, you know, flip the house a while back, and it just wasn't the right time yet. So he came home in May. It was the beginning of May, and I was like, I think we should sell the house now.
We kept getting those emails going, here's your house value. Oh, now here's your house value.
Right.
And it's that's too much money. We have to sell.
Yeah. So he was like, okay. So I called one of my good friends. She's a realtor in the area. And I was like, I want to sell my house. And she's like, awesome. I want to sell your house. So she was great. It sold in less than a week.
Wow.
After we got it on the market. We sold for $10,000 over asking, and had multiple offers. So we were pretty excited about that. We had multiple different plans that didn't quite work out. So we sold our house, and about 2 to 3 weeks before we actually had to be out of the house, we didn't have a plan because all of our plans had kind of fell through.
Okay.
And we found a little rental on 65 acres in Portland, right on the outskirts of Portland. We live on a pumpkin patch now. It's a huge change just because we went from a 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a huge 3-car garage, and now we are in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 0 garage. So it's definitely different. We came from a brand new house. We were the first ones to live in it, and now we're in almost I think it's like 85-year-old house. So it's definitely a change.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I want to ask you guys what made you guys decide to sell your house here in just a second. But before we do that, because a lot of people might say, well, you just sold your house, that's how you paid off all your debt. But that's not true. I mean, can you share what your numbers were before you sold your house
So roughly, I did some estimates. I don't know the exact number, but we were about 137,000
Paid off without the house in just a little over 3+ years. That is in itself amazing accomplishment in just a little over 3+ years. So if you're out there saying, oh, they just sold their house and that's what made it easy, not so fast. I mean, over $130,000 in 3+ years is a phenomenal achievement, and just huge round of applause to you guys. I mean, seriously. I can't even believe the number. Like, they're just so exciting. It really, really is. So anyways, let's go back to the house. So you guys decide to sell it, and Levi, I agree. Like, you start looking at the math, especially with the housing market's going around some of the areas of the country right now. It's like, man, if you own and you're in a good spot, man, that was a good time. The math is really working out for sellers right now.
Right.
But what ultimately was the main decision? You guys decided to sell, and so what's the plan behind doing this?
So we figured if we sell now, we don't know what the housing market's going to do in the months to come, because a lot of Americans are in housing forbearance. Like, they put their mortgage in forbearance, and a lot of them don't realize that they have to pay that back in a one lump sum in 6 months. So we decided to get out of our mortgage now, and we could pay off the remaining of our debt, which was I had a little setback a year ago. I decided to get into a little more debt, and I really didn't want to tell you about it. But I bought a mobile boutique.
Okay.
Because it was such a good deal at the time. Like, it was a used Mercedes Sprinter van, and I decided to do that. So I was like, we could pay off the mobile boutique, we can pay off your car, and the last remaining, I think I had like $2,000 left of my student loans. So I was like, we can be completely out of debt, save up for our forever home, because we wanted to, we want to be on some property. We don't want to live right next to our neighbors anymore. So that was kind of the reasoning behind it, is we wanted to be completely debt free and save up for our forever house.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool using the same tools we use to get out of debt. We want to put like a board on the wall, and mark off how much we need to save to get that dream house that we're going to build.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is so awesome. So you guys have reduced your expenses, I'm assuming, right? Going to this house.
Sure.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah. Reduce your expenses. So again, here's a family that's now debt-free and is still practicing the same principles that got them there. That's going to help them get to the next step. So this, again, kind of goes along with what we talk about on this podcast, is that you never officially kind of make it. You kind of take these habits and you continue to use them over and over again. Things get easier, things get better, but it's the habits that really create the results. And you guys are proof of that. You're taking those same things, just like you said, Levi, you're taking those trackers and using that as motivation to get to that next step. Man, just so awesome for you guys. So obviously you guys have been married for 4 years, have a daughter and family. And how has this changed your relationship? How has this changed your family, you think? Obviously when you first started 3 years ago, your daughter was maybe 10 or 11 years old. What has she thought about all you guys are doing? Like, share a little bit about the family dynamic with the whole financial side.
Ava, there was a little adjustment period for her as well, because she was used to getting whatever she wanted, pretty much. Anytime I go to the store and bring her home something, or, if she was at the store and she wanted something, I mean, we weren't broke by any means. I mean, we could always make all of our payments on time. We just had a lot of payments. And instead of putting that extra towards debt, we spent the extra on whatever we wanted. So I would, buy her different things, and she kind of had to learn to cut back on that stuff. Moving, she was not super excited about, because she loved her room.
Yeah.
And she had her own bathroom, and, going from a 3-bathroom house to a 1-bathroom house for all of us to share, she was not excited. So,
right. I can imagine.
Yeah. So she's adjusted really well, though. She actually likes it here, so that's nice. She said it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So Levi and our communication, I feel, is much better. Would you agree?
Yeah.
We don't fight about money. We discuss buying certain things. I used to have the behavior where I would go out and I bought a $3,000 pot and pan set, and he was not excited about it.
She didn't tell me for the longest time how much they cost, and I didn't want to hear about it for the longest time.
But we discuss larger purchases now. Like, I don't just go out and buy whatever I want. So
one of the nice things, though, there was come last Christmas, we decided to get a dog, and that came with a lot of expenses we didn't expect, but just $500, it didn't hurt us. That would have been an argument and a fight. How much does she have to pay? How much am I paying? No, we just got a really cool dog.
Yeah. It's amazing how the stress just slowly goes away, especially now. I mean, you guys have reached the pinnacle. There's no question. Now, another thing I want to talk about and ask you about, Kura, is that you did something really amazing a little over a year ago, and you actually decided to, I'll let you share what you decided to do. And what I want to know is, how did that decision play in with your current finances? Because obviously it'll affect your finances. So share a little bit about what you did, because this is, outside of what you guys done here, I mean, this is amazing. Like, this is the most unselfish thing. This is amazing.
So about a year and a half ago, I decided to get tested to see if I was a match to donate one of my kidneys to another pure romance consultant. We weren't close. I think I had met her one time. I knew who she was, but I think I had only met her once years prior. But I heard that she needed one, and another consultant was doing the testing, but she was not a candidate. So we got to talking, and I was like, well, maybe I'll get tested. And I went in, I want to say I sent in the questionnaire November of 2018, and it took until April of last year. They called me and said, you're a match. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm doing this. Let's do it. So we scheduled it in July. It was July 8th was the surgery date. So I donated my left kidney, and I was out of work for quite a while. I tried to go back about 12 days after, and it was hard. Yeah. It was really hard. So I didn't do any other work until, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 weeks after that. Mm-hmm. Just because I was still healing, and it was a harder recovery than I had anticipated. I'm still not, 100%. I get tired really easily, so I can't do as much as I used to. With left-sided donors, the adrenal gland sits right on top of your kidney, so they have to sever the main vein to that adrenal gland, so it doesn't function as well as it would normally. So I get fatigued a lot. But yeah, so awesome. I was out of work for a little while.
Yeah. And I mean, seriously, outside of the finances, I mean, that's like real life hero stuff. I mean, seriously, you should be, holy smokes, that's amazing. So you made that decision, but obviously you guys have been working on this stuff for quite a while. I mean, last year is only 2 years into it. That had to have taken a lot of the stress off of making a decision like that, because naturally, what do we say? Oh, I can't take that much time off work. I mean, if I could do it, I don't have the money, I'm in debt, and I'm guessing there's some people out there that could possibly donate, and they didn't, maybe because of the financial setback and what would happen. And how did that play a role into your decision, you think?
Well, once again, that was a good, there wasn't even an argument about money. She was going to be out of work for months, and I took care of her for a couple of weeks, and so there was no income, but it was fine.
Yeah, we had money in the bank, so it wasn't super stressful, me being out of work. I will say that it did slow down our progress to become debt free just a little bit, because I was out of work, and then the pandemic happened after that. But
yeah. Super awesome. What a great story. And seriously, it's hard to say, do you say congratulations, or that's amazing that you were able to just do that. It's so cool. So last couple questions for you guys. And Levi, this one kind of is for you, from a guy's perspective, because, admittedly, we have a lot of females that come into our program, and they're working hard on their finances, but they have a really hard time bringing their spouses into this. Like you guys just talked about, you have friends that maybe want to do this, but the spouse is a little reluctant. As someone who's gone through this with your partner, from a male's perspective, what advice would you give to someone out there who might be a little reluctant about what you guys have done, whether they joined Roots or not, or just, doing some of this stuff and getting on a budget and getting on a plan? Like, what would you say to them now, knowing what you know 3 years later after going through a lot of this?
It can be a little rough. You got to kind of put yourself out there and see your own spending habits, and versus there's like she's saying she can go Ross, but it takes a little bit to go, okay, we can address this, but it's so worth it.
So I would say jump right in, just because it has helped us so much. And you may think you can do it on your own, but it's that accountability. Like, we have we have the entire Roots community cheering us on. And when you post the celebration Friday, like, you're kind of held accountable.
Again, huge congratulations to you guys. Seriously, you guys have done an amazing job, and you guys can officially say that you are absolutely debt-free. That's got to feel amazing.
It does. It really does.
Awesome.
I thought I would be paying on student loans forever.
Right. They're like a member of the family, right? They don't ever leave.
Yeah. So I graduated once or twice, actually, and then I went to nursing school, and I didn't finish nursing school. I was about 9 months away, and I had about $40,000 in just nursing school debt that I was paying for a degree I never finished. So it was just something that I thought I would be paying on for the rest of my life. But in these last 3 years, we've been able to crush that and pay off all of them. So
awesome.
That was really
yeah, and that's got to feel good. Yeah, that, especially if you didn't finish it, those are monkeys on the back for sure, right? I mean, it's just like, right? So again, huge congratulations to you guys. I appreciate you guys taking some time and sharing, your story and your journey and what you guys have been able to do. And I know that there's going to be some people out there that are going to be very encouraged by this and stating that, hey, I can get started with some of this stuff too, and I can start taking those extra steps and making some of those extra sacrifices. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's dance!
All right. That sound means it's time for the celebrations of the show. And as we just got done talking to Levi and Kura, huge celebration to them, paying off over $427,000 in just a little over 3 years. That is a celebration in and of itself. Such a huge accomplishment. So congratulations to those guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with them, and hopefully it gave you some encouragement to get started on some of the stuff that they were working on to help them reach such an amazing accomplishment in just a little over 3 years. It's so exciting. I can't get enough of that. So first one to kick off here today is Lori Hester. I opened a savings account for my emergency fund and actually put money into it, which is really, really important. And that is a huge step in the right direction, Lori. Congratulations to you.
Amanda Bowers, I got out of collections. Some will be completely deleted off my report and others will state paid in full.
That is a huge, huge deal, getting back to square one and starting out on the right foot. That's awesome.
Next is Chantel Perrone. Got money for my birthday and put it towards debt. And I remember when we were getting out of debt, it was just like I would look forward to birthdays and Christmases when we first started, because it was like, oh, I'll have my own money. And then I remember when we started like putting it towards debt. So great job on that, because I know how hard that is.
Yeah, I commented on this because this is a Root celebration, and I said, you're serious about getting out of debt when you start using your gift money towards paying off your debt. Yeah, that is awesome. All right, up next is Gabrielle Levick. We started working on our budget and checked out where all of our money was going, canceled what wasn't needed, and added automatic transfers for emergency fund. And that's awesome. I like the automatic transfers as well, scheduling those, because if it's automatic, it just gets done. You don't even really miss the money. So I love that.
And Jill Flickinger Brown, my husband cashed in some PTO, another chip out of the debt.
Yeah, this one's another big one, too. This one's kind of like the birthday money one. When I was getting out of debt, I remember I would cash out like sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks of vacation, because you're almost getting double pay because you're still working. And that was a really good way to really catch up on a lot of debt, or either build your emergency fund. Now, the downside is the sacrifice of the time off. So There are some pluses and minuses to that, but if you're looking at speeding up the process, that could be a great way if your workplace obviously allows you to do that.
Next, we have Sally Aness, paid off the last payment of our personal debt today with a $600 payment, paying off a total of $8,900, as well as paid $1,500 towards credit cards. Feeling amazing.
Yeah, those guys have just been killing it. I mean, just since they joined back in April, I mean, just an amazing accomplishments that they've had just one week after the other. It's just huge. And I think in the next month or so, I mean, they're going to be pretty close to paying off like 20 grand. And that is such
Fantastic.
a huge deal. So anyways, hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback here. We would love to connect with you. And if you want the latest from the show, be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And oh, by the way, if you heard that commercial about our Life Without Payments free course, you can head over and find that at therealdebtfreedad.com. Just click on tools and courses, and you'll have access to all of our free tools right there. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show.